All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am very excited to welcome everyone here to Fort Collins City Hall and into council chambers, where for Fort Collins Police Services, this is an exciting day. I am Jeff Swoboda, the police chief, and I'm joined up here by Greg Yeager, my deputy chief, my assistant chiefs, Kevin Cronin, we have Rena Martinez, John Fayen, and Tim Duran. And we, again, are very excited to have a turnout from friends and family that are here, of the people who are being promoted, co-workers. Everyone inside the police department is very excited for these 5 individuals who are going to be promoted today. And once again, personally, I am extremely excited. You know, as we were preparing for today, there was a lengthy interview process, some tactical exercises, and an assessment center that each one of these individuals went through, and they came out fantastically, obviously, because they are being promoted here today. You know, policing is a very difficult profession. Many would say it's more difficult today, but I would argue that it's always been a very difficult profession, and we need outstanding individuals who just happen to choose to want to become police officers, good communicators, people who relate well with others, and leaders. And we're especially looking for leaders who aren't just leaders because of the insignia they wear on their collar, but because of how they carry themselves, how they talk to people, how they treat people, the things that they have done, not just what they say they're going to do. See, too often in promotion interviews, people want to spend a lot of time talking about, if I'm promoted, I will do this. And what we look for from a command staff is people who say, I have been doing all of this, and that means I'm ready for the next level. And then I will take on more responsibility. So these individuals are exactly those types of individuals. We talked a lot about during the interview process, what have you done to make yourself better? What have you done to make your work unit better and the police department better? But also, what have you done to make the community better? Because doing things well inside the police department is part of the job. It's part of what we're looking for. But a bigger part of the profession that we are working on is, how do we handle interactions with the community? How are we making our community the safest community in the country? Lofty goals, I know, but ones that I know that we can achieve with the individuals that I know we are promoting today and the ones we'll promote in the future. So without further ado, because as I've told each of these individuals, be prepared to say some remarks. People are not here to hear from the chief of police. They are here to hear from those who are being promoted. How did you get here? Younger officers are looking at, how did you get here? What are the things you've done to become promoted? Co-workers are saying, how are you going to lead us? What are you going to do? What are your plans? And people who are here today who are even retired or working in City Hall, and I appreciate the members from City Hall who are here today, but how are you going to make the police department more in line and better cooperation with City Hall, better cooperation with the community, which at times relationships aren't always the best. So again, we are very excited here for today, and we are going to get started with the first person who we will be promoting, Officer Chip Avenger, who is going to be promoted to Sergeant. So Chip, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about Chip, just so everybody understands how today is going to go. I will talk a little bit about them, their history. I've talked with their coworkers and gotten some input from each of them as far as what type of person they are. And we will then walk over here. I will swear them in, and a family member will come up and pin the badge on for them. And then we'll repeat that for 5 times. There are 3 sergeants being promoted today and 2 lieutenants. So welcome, Chip. Chip was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. He attended University of North Florida, where he studied criminal justice and psychology. He was hired by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in September of 2003. As a corrections officer, he eventually transferred to the position of police officer in May of 2006. He spent 4 years patrol nights in Jacksonville's busiest zone, with 2 years as an acting supervisor. He's 2 years as an operator on the Jacksonville SWAT team, and he eventually came to Fort Collins in May of 2010. He worked patrol on nights for 2 years and then became a member of our neighborhood engagement team for nearly 7 years and served as the acting supervisor for 6 of those years. Nearly 7 years as an operator of Fort Collins Police Services SWAT team. He has his wife Paige, his children Thomas, Dalton, and Hadley. Without further ado, I am going to ask, is it your wife Paige who will be? Thomas will be coming forward to swear in, to pin on Chip's badge. So come on forward, Thomas. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll have you step over here. We'll swear you in. Why don't you? Actually, you can stand right here. Make this nice. Our photographer is right here, so we'll make sure it looks nice forever. And you can come and stand right next to him, please. If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Chip Avenger, do solemnly swear
I, Chip Avenger, do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
or affirm that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
the state of Colorado,
the state of Colorado,
and the charter, ordinances, and regulations
and the charter, ordinances, and regulations
of the city of Fort Collins,
of the city of Fort Collins,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of sergeant
and I will faithfully perform the duties of sergeant
for the city of Fort Collins.
for the city of Fort Collins.
Thomas, if you will please pin the sergeant badge on your dad. I'd like to introduce Sergeant Avenger. Congratulations. I'll have you step over here. Don't let that mess you up.
Thank you, Chief. First of all, I want to thank my wife, Paige, my children, Thomas, Dalton, and Hadley, for being here to support me. They inspire me to be a better person every day. I started my law enforcement career in 2003. The Chiefs kind of already went over my journey up to this point. It's been 16 years to get to this point. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of being influenced by many strong leaders. I could rattle off a long list of names of people who have been instrumental in my development as an officer and a leader. And that list would certainly include names like Kelly Weaver and Kent Robinson, who are being promoted to lieutenant today. I could stand here and rattle off a long list of names, but I'm not going to do that because I would assuredly miss quite a few people who have been very impactful in my life and my career. What I will say is that I've had many wonderful and influential people, leaders in my career. Many men and women who have helped me and shaped who I am now. True leaders. When I thought about this, I thought about what a leader is to me. It's my belief that the qualities that make up a leader, such as integrity, honesty, work ethic, humility, and bravery, to name a few, are innate. Those are innate qualities. I know the other gentlemen who are being promoted today, who I will share this stage with today, have those leadership qualities in spades. My hope is that I can live up to that standard and be able to mentor and lead others the way that I have been mentored and led throughout my career. I'm honored and blessed to be in this position and very excited to take on this new role and responsibility. Thank you.
Congratulations. And when you go out, we'll have you go by the East staff over there. Yeah, you're all done. Thank you very much, Chip. You know, as I was walking around the station today and the past few days, I'd like to just make these a little more formal and talk or learn a little bit more about each one of the people who are being promoted. And as you probably could have told by Chip, he's a very laid-back person. And that's what people were saying, but don't let that mask his passion and his ability to be a leader in the organization, his work ethic. He is someone that I was told when you give him a task, what you really need to do is just get out of his way. He will get it done, and he'll get it done right. So we are so excited to have Chip here today. During that, I'd like to also welcome City Manager Darren Atterbury, who is here, former Councilman and Mayor Ray Martinez, also former police officer. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. Okay, the next person we are going to be honoring and promoting to the position of Sergeant is Jason Curtis. Jason, if you would step down, please. And we can go ahead and give a round of applause as people are coming down. All right, and a little bit about Jason. Hello, good to see you again. Jason is a Kansas native. Graduated with a bachelor's and master's degree from Wichita State University. Was a police officer with the Riley County Police Department in Manhattan, Kansas from 2000 to 2004. Moved to Fort Collins in 2005 after a year in Las Vegas. In his career, he started again with Fort Collins Police Services in 2005, served as an FTO and trained over 20 officers. You know, one thing I would like to add with that is he's been a detective for a while, and still when we needed training, we needed some training officers to go back down to patrol and assist with new recruits. Jason stepped up. And if you're out of patrol for any amount of time, things move so quickly that it doesn't take long for you to kind of get a little lost. And I think what is extremely cool about Jason is that he welcomed that. He knew it was going to be difficult. I've seen him talk with his new recruits, and that he doesn't know everything, and things have changed, so they're going to learn a lot of things together. And that level of humility, that approach to the job, recognizing that at any of our levels, we never have all the answers. And I think that is something that was very exciting to know, that we're going to have a sergeant who's going to be coming on board saying, you know what, I'm going to learn with you. I don't have all the answers, and we'll figure it out. So I'm very excited about that. But he trained over 20 of our officers. He's on peer support, again, a very important role, helping officers and our professional staff when they go through a traumatic time. Sometimes they need to talk to someone. Sometimes they need to just vent. And the peer support members are important members of our organization. And Jason is a member of the peer support. Crash unit, bike unit. He's part of our fitness team. And again, he has been on crimes against a persons detective. As I went around and talked about Jason, and said, tell me a little bit more about Jason. What I kept hearing about was, again, his ability to go back to want to be a field training officer, and people really recognize that. His desire to be a mentor, not just for new officers, but my understanding is up in the detective bureau too, when new detectives came up, took the time to mentor new people. Something that kept coming through as well is just cares deeply for victims. You know, we can get very busy in this job and realize that we're going call to call. Detectives have a never-ending case file that they need to work through. Cases keep piling up on their desks, but recognizing that people are much more than what's in their file. And Jason routinely takes the time to get to know them, get to understand what happened, and even more so how he can help maybe bring justice about, but even more so closure, helping victims get through some very tough times. And that was something that people completely recognized with him. And what I also heard was just community focused, and is always recognizing that we are here to serve the community, and will always take the steps and the extra step in time to make sure people feel heard, and again, when he can, help them get justice. So without further ado, I know first his wife, Julianne, daughters Emily, lives in Vienna, Austria with husband. So is she here? She's not here, okay. Jared, who works for the State Department and has some grandkids, Ezra and Charlie. So who will be pinning you today?
My wife.
Okay, so if Julianne would come down, please. Welcome, Julianne. All right. And we are going to step, if you wouldn't mind turning this way, just like the last time. And Julianne, come on up and you can be right with him. If you would raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Jason Curtis, do solemnly swear.
I, Jason Curtis, do solemnly swear.
Or affirm that I will support the Constitution.
Or affirm that I will support the Constitution.
And the laws of the United States.
And the laws of the United States.
And the state of Colorado.
And the state of Colorado.
And the charter, ordinances, and regulations.
And the charter, ordinances, and regulations.
Of the city of Fort Collins.
Of the city of Fort Collins.
And that I will faithfully perform the duties.
And I will faithfully perform the duties.
Of sergeant for the city of Fort Collins.
Of sergeant for the city of Fort Collins.
Would you pin his sergeant badge on him, please, Julianne? Can always tell who practiced. Well done. May I introduce Sergeant Jason Curtis. Congratulations. And then, congratulations. And you're up. Make sure this is on.
Someone told me that the best time to leave a job is when you don't feel quite ready to leave. And that's how I feel right now. I've loved serving as a persons detective, and I've loved working for the victims. But I look forward to this new challenge, where my focus is, again, all about pure service, making sure that our officers have the support, leadership, expectations, and accountability that they need to be the absolute best that they can be. In April of 1910, Theodore Roosevelt delivered one of the most profound speeches of his career. This speech is known as the Man in the Arena. Teddy Roosevelt expressed more than a century ago how I'm feeling right now better than I ever could in my own words. So I'd like to share that with you. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I strive to be the man in the arena, to serve our departments, our city, our country. But I would not be here without my ever-suffering wife, Julianne, who has tolerated willingly, if not happily, late-night call-outs, long hours, the random phone call where I tell her I'm off to Utah or New Mexico, and I'll see you in a day or two. I would also like to recognize and thank a few sergeants who've supported me along the way. Christy Valesky, now Lieutenant Valesky, Frank Barrett, and Heather Moore. Your support, friendship, and mentoring means more than you'll ever know to me. Fair warning, I expect to reach out regularly for advice and wisdom. And I would like to thank command staff for giving me this opportunity. I will do my best to live up to your high expectations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason. And that poem is extremely fitting. I'm sure I saw many people nodding their head, especially those in law enforcement who recognize that, because it is, especially in a profession like policing. We, as a command staff, routinely meet with brand new officers on their first day after they go to these cities welcoming. They come back, that's an inside joke. After they come back, we meet with our brand new officers and we talk with them and we say, this is a job where you will be critiqued routinely on everything you do. And we should be. We work for the public, and the public has every right to look at how we're doing our jobs and say, we expect more, we want more. Sometimes it's reasonable, sometimes it's not reasonable, but it's absolutely going to happen. And we tell our new officers, if you can't handle that, if you can't handle people questioning how you're doing your job, if you can't do your job right, by the book, and do it the exact right way, and still be able to handle criticism or the department or the community coming forward and saying, we don't like that, we tell you it might not be the right profession, because policing is watched by everyone as it should be. And so that's why it takes people who understand that. And so I really welcome and appreciate you taking the time to read that from the president. All right, the next person and the last person we will be promoting, we are doing this in reverse order of seniority, so everyone understands. And Brian Mallory, who is will be the most senior sergeant of the three we're promoting today. I ask you to come on down. Welcome, Brian. Welcome. Yeah, step over here. All right, so Brian grew up in Colorado, graduated from Colorado State University with a degree in sociology, criminal justice, and a minor in political science. He was hired by Fort Collins Police Services in 2006. Part of his career, he's been a SWAT operator since 2008. He's been assistant team leader on the SWAT team since January of this year. He also was a member of the peer support team. From 2010, 2013, he's been an acting supervisor before. He's a field training officer since 2012, and he's been a member of our criminal impact unit in the Detective Bureau since 2014. As I walked around and was talking with people, what I kept hearing about again, and it's a common theme that you'll see from not just here today, but most supervisors who are able to rise to the next level and are someone that people remember, are always considered a mentor. That Brian is always going above and beyond, looking out for other people, looking at how to do the job, do it as efficiently and as best as he could, but also bringing others along, making sure that he realizes that people are always watching. And what I heard was focused, extremely focused, mentor, constant learner, and then also not just learning certain things, going to a school or learning something on a call, but then kind of really internalizing that and making sure that he learns from it and then teaches other people. It's one thing to take lessons and make yourself better. I think it's a whole nother level of thought where someone takes that time to make themselves better and then says, and not use that as a way to kind of get ahead of others, but says, I'm going to make everyone else around me as well. I'm going to teach others what I just learned. And that is what I keep hearing about Brian. Brian's married to Emily since 2003, has 2 children, Madison and Isaac. And pinning you today, Brian, will be who?
My wife, Emily.
And Emily, would you please come down? All right, and by now we got the plan here, right? All right. I'll have you stand right here. Welcome, Emily. Hello. If you'd raise your right hand, Brian. I, Brian Mallory, do solemnly swear
I, Brian Mallory, do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the charter, ordinances, and regulations
and the charter, ordinance, and regulations
of the city of Fort Collins,
of the city of Fort Collins.
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
And I will faithfully perform the duties
of sergeant
of sergeant
for the city of Fort Collins.
for the city of Fort Collins.
Emily, if you'd make him a sergeant, please. Nobody's watching. Congratulations, Sergeant Brian Mallory. Thank you, Emily.
All right, well, thank you, Chief. So I'm very excited for this new opportunity that I have. For those of you that know me, I'm not real big about talking about myself, but I'm a firm believer that you don't get where you are without help. And there's a few people I like to recognize for their help to help me get here. Detective Neil Heisem, he's been helping me since my very first, I think it was phase 2 of FTO. He's been helping me ever since up until right now. He's helped me along the way. He even he didn't fire me when I scuffed up his car in phase 3 hitting the curb. And anybody who knows Neil Heisem laughs because they know how much his car is, how important that is to him. So Neil Heisem. Jared Kinsman, he's helped me quite a bit along the way. In fact, he helped me before I even was a cop. I used to live next to him, and he helped me out quite a bit getting hired here. And there's a few people that are on the SWAT team, and mentorship is very important to me, and I learned from some very good people on the SWAT team. Lieutenant Murphy, for those of you who know Lieutenant Murphy, he is real big on mentorship, and it's important to him, and he's given me numerous opportunities on SWAT to really kind of grow into what I want to be and how I want to do things. Mark Martinez is another one, both on the street in CIU and on SWAT, giving me plenty of opportunities, helping me when I fail and helping me to continue to push and get better. But I really want to take time out to thank Lieutenant McCambridge and Lieutenant Pearson, Dave Pearson. They gave me an opportunity to be the acting sergeant for CIU. They helped me as I failed. They helped me learn and grow, and hopefully given me the ability to be a good sergeant. Helped me to kind of be where I want to be and kind of shown me how to do that, and I really appreciate that, so thank you very much. But I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for my wife. So she's, excuse me, she's helped me along the way. I've worked nights my whole career. I've worked CIU. I think in the last 2 years, I've probably been gone more than I've been at home. And she's been there. She's been supportive of me, so thank you. Thanks, Chief.
All right, and thank you very much, Brian, and absolutely the family members that are here today, and even the officers, and again, members from the City Hall. Please don't never underestimate the power of just showing up. It means a lot. It's not always what you say or what you bring or if you give somebody a gift. It's just being there during big times in their career. So being here today means a lot to these officers. I know that. Okay, and now we are going to move on to the position of sergeants who will be being promoted to the position of lieutenant. I would ask Ken Robinson, please come down, please. Okay. Okay, Ken has been in law enforcement over 27 years. He began his career in Fort Collins over 21 years ago. He has done pretty much everything inside the police department. As I was walking around talking with everyone, it was checking pretty much every single ancillary responsibility that someone has. From a field training officer, again, being a mentor, taking a brand new officers is as nerve-wracking as you can imagine it is. I was never a field training officer, and I've met with our field training officers today, and actually yesterday, we're putting people through a class right now. and just really thank them. These are people who take time. It's hard enough, again, to be a police officer, but then say, give me somebody brand new who's never been a police officer or who's learning everything from the streets to basic codes. They've been through some training already, obviously, but they're taking these brand new officers and going into many times some very dangerous situations. And not only does the FTO have to worry about themselves, they're clearly taking time and making sure that the other people are safe. And so taking a brand new officer and taking on that responsibility says a ton about a police officer. He's been a property detective. He's been a training officer, a defensive tactics unit instructor for 20 years, virtually training the entire department. That's what I was told, that Kent has been a part of training every single police officer here in Fort Collins these days, and probably many others who have retired over 20 years. And recently, Kent was just honored yesterday. We have a program called High Caliber Culture. And we used to have an Employee of the Month. And Employee of the Month was everyone puts in all the great work that's going around the organization, and we pick a winner. And the winner was picked by our awards committee. And Neil Heisem actually came with the idea, along with Lieutenant Kinsman, that said, why are we having great work competing against other great work? You know, we would have a dispatcher save someone's life over the phone by helping them perform CPR. And then we'd have a evidence custodian taking in hundreds of pieces of evidence on a major crime scene. And then we would have police officers physically saving someone's life or going above and beyond. And they'd all have to compete against each other, and there'd be a winner. And the idea was to come forward that why are we having great work compete against other great work? Let's just recognize the great work that's going on, and then also take another step. Let's honor the people who actually take the time to put in other people for those awards. Because we all love, you know, when we get recognized for great work, right? It's okay, thank you, I did some great work. But the person who actually put pen to paper, who took the time to identify great work and put that person in for an award, also deserved to be recognized. So we put together this program. And Kent was not only recognized yesterday for his work that he has done, but also was one of the people who was put in another officer for the amazing work that's going on. So he's just always a part of the fabric of Fort Collins Police Services and making sure that we are continuously improving and recognizing the work that is going on daily. He's been a firearms instructor for 13 years, a driving instructor, part of the fitness team for 10 years, and has been a sergeant for almost 13 years. Been married to Rhonda for 29 years. They have 3 children, and as I went around and talked with people today, again, it's every adjective you could think of when you're thinking of who you would want to be a leader in your organization, whether it's somebody you want to be your boss, whether you're another sergeant or lieutenant, you want this person to be a coworker, or you're a chief of police and you want these types of supervisors on the street when you're home asleep. Passionate, humble, always helping others, level-headed. He challenges the status quo, but does it professionally, always looking to make us better. He wants what's best for Fort Collins. You know, when I was first coming here to test to be police chief, I stopped by a neighborhood meeting, and who was one of the first people I saw was Kent Robinson. And I looked across the room, was in a suit, he didn't know who I was, and just saw how he was interacting with the community. And this was a business community, and how many people he knew by name, and was thanking all the officers and taking notes as far as what they wanted to say to the police officer so he could go back. Deputy Chief Greg Yeager has a story when he was coming here from Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma? Coming here from Oklahoma. And he came up to a police officer and just wanted to learn about it. Was thinking about coming here to be a police officer. And one of the people he ran into was Kent. And Kent spent an amazing amount of time talking to him about the police department and about the city, and was the best recruiting tool. I always tell every one of our police officers, I know the city manager talks about this, every one of us are recruiting officers for whatever part of the organization you're in. We're the best examples. And so Kent did that, spent time, and Greg is here because of that. We rescued him from Oklahoma, so Greg is extremely excited. But back to Kent for a moment. We really appreciate Kent's work. Again, when I'm here and we're promoting people, usually the happiest person in the room is the person being promoted. And for Kent, I can tell you that it's probably his new boss, Assistant Chief John Fayen, has been extremely excited for this promotion. His co-workers of Kent's, the officers, I haven't had more people come forward and say, I am so excited for this promotion. He deserves it. He leads the right way. And so we are extremely excited for that. So Kent, who will be pinning you today?
My wife, Rhonda.
Rhonda, if you would come forward and pin Kent, please. Hello again. Okay, if you'd raise your right hand, please. I, Kent Robinson, do solemnly swear
I, Kent Robinson, do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the charter, ordinances, and regulations
and the charter ordinances and regulations
of the city of Fort Collins,
of the city of Fort Collins.
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
And I will faithfully perform the duties
of lieutenant
of lieutenant
for the city of Fort Collins.
of the city of Fort Collins.
Rhonda, if you would please make him a lieutenant. Did she? Jinxed her. Good enough. Congratulations to Lieutenant Kent Robinson. Congratulations. Congratulations. Enjoy.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I don't have a lot to say. The chief told you all about me, so that's all I got. Just kidding. So this has been a wonderful profession for me. I never thought I'd be a law enforcement officer, but for 27 years, it's been a great ride, and I still enjoy coming to work every day. And a lot of that has to do with the people that I get to work with every day, not just the citizens of Fort Collins, which make it a lot easier than the previous department that I worked at. A lot of great support here by the community of the police department, but it's the people that I work with every day. Like the chief said, I've been involved with training almost everybody in the department in one form or another. But I was also lucky enough to be part of the selection process for many years, not just with the sworn personnel, but the civilian personnel. And very proud of the people that work here, and the community should be very proud of the law enforcement agency that represents them. So I couldn't have made it this long in this career without the support of my wife. Sorry. And my kids. So Rhonda and Megan and Justin and Michael, thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry about that. So thanks. And I think one of the greatest things that we have done in the last few years with our current E-staff is that the message that we are now sending to the community is that we want to be successful for the community. And the message also is that in order for us to be successful as an agency, is that we need to ensure that we are helping each other internally be successful, physically, mentally, and out on our jobs. All the different things that it takes to have a successful police department, we need to help each other out. And so I appreciate that message from E-staff. Thank you very much, which helped encourage me, and I know some of the other people that are being promoted today, to actually step forward and take that next responsibility in the organization. So thank you.
All right, and now if we could have Kelly Weaver please come down and be promoted to lieutenant. Okay, a little bit about Kelly. Born in Brooklyn, New York, graduated from Colorado State University with a bachelor's degree in microbiology. Worked in the microbiology field for several years doing research and testing foodborne pathogens. Worked 3 years as a sworn deputy at Larimer County Sheriff's Office. He's a Marine, served 6 years in the United States Marine Corps in the Artillery Battalion. Served in Desert Storm from 1990 to 1991, honorably discharged as a sergeant and a combat war veteran. Came to Fort Collins Police Services 20 years ago, started here in 1999, served as a patrol officer, a sergeant, a detective, another field training officer, you see a common theme here, defensive tactics instructor, honor guard, criminal impact unit, neighborhood engagement team, and District 1. He and his family love to travel and have been numerous places around the world. You ever been to Oklahoma?
I have.
You have? Okay.
I was stationed there.
Station, okay. They enjoy learning about different cultures, food, and languages. He and his wife, Carrie, will celebrate their 24th anniversary later this year. They have 3 kids, Blake, Luke, and Ella. And again, with the common theme of walking around, talking with people, again, the things I heard, community-focused. Literally has no ego. Always is about the people he is working with, their mission, and the community. Takes himself out of it. The fact he was a field training officer, and officers who are here today have been trained by him, and they still remember the manner in which he trained them, the respect he showed them, how he showed them how to treat people, how supportive he was. Something I also routinely heard is just so positive, has that positive outlook, always smiling. On cue. Professional, approachable. People are just drawn to him. When you see him out, they want to come and talk to him. Unless they're wanted, probably. Then they probably don't want to come and talk to him. But people want to come and interact with him. He's a friendly person that is always trying to make this community better, make our department better, and make sure he does that by making sure our officers are safe, well-equipped. They're able to come and talk to him if they need some help. Kelly, who will be pinning you today? Carrie, would you please come forward and make Kelly Weaver a lieutenant? Hi. Thank you. Nice to meet you. If you'd step forward just a little bit. All right. If you'd raise your right hand, please. I, Kelly Weaver, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Kelly Weaver, do solemnly swear and confirm
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the state of Colorado,
the state of Colorado,
and the charter, ordinances,
and the charter, ordinances,
regulations of the city of Fort Collins,
and the regulations of the city of Fort Collins,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of lieutenant
the duties of lieutenant
for the city of Fort Collins.
for the city of Fort Collins.
Would you please make Kelly Weaver a lieutenant? Lieutenant Kelly Weaver.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for everyone that showed up for all of the candidates that were promoted to sergeant and lieutenant. Being last is like, I remember when I was in first grade and had to do a speech, and my name starts with W, so you sit in the back and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, nothing has changed, 50 years later, nothing has changed. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership, and because leadership is a very vague, broad topic. We preach leadership a lot. In our line of work, we preach leadership a lot in the military, especially the United States Marine Corps. And if you look at leadership, I could sit and talk about building relationships. I could talk about accountability. I could talk about integrity, trust, honesty, approachability. All of those are elements of leadership. I'm going to put a little bit twist on it. This is how I think, and this is how I kind of handle leadership to a certain degree. I mean, keep in mind all those elements I did mention. They're very factual. I think they're extremely important. But I always look at leadership as worthiness. And what I'm going to talk about is, I always believe in this saying is, to be worthy as a leader, you must take others to somewhere worthwhile. So, how do I apply that? What's worthwhile? Everyone in here has a journey. Some of us know our journeys, others do not. We're just, we're kind of walking the path. Every day we wake up, we're on a journey. So, what's a journey? I think as a leader, you should be engaged with the people that you supervise, and you should know their journey. You should know their passions, you should know their interests, and you should be by their side and providing that positive support, giving them the tools and the motivation to continue their journey and hopefully reach the destination that they're hoping to reach for. I do that all the time. I'm like Mallory. I am not a big fan of talking about myself. I'm always behind the scenes. I prefer that, but I'm always there coaching. I'm holding right besides whoever his or her hands, making sure, hey, do this, tweak that, add this, delete this, or whatever the case may be. So a little bit about my background with FTO. It's not about me being an FTO. It's about the trainees I'm training. Defensive tactics instructor. It's about the candidates and the recruits and their in-service trainings. It's about the officers bettering themselves in defensive tactics. District 1, being a sergeant district or sergeant in net, or District 1 or CIU. It's not about me. It's about me being a team player, making that team as a whole better. Supervising the street, supervising net. It's about making net. It's about making patrol better. Being a lieutenant, nothing has changed. The mindset is still the same. It's about making my sergeants better. It's about making my corporals better, the 3 shifts better, and then everyone around me better, including the community and the civilian population as well. That's what you get when, as a lieutenant for me. Nothing has changed. It's not about me. It's about making other people around me better. For those of you out there, you know that. That's just the way I'm hardwired. And I want to give a couple of shouts out to one will be my wife, Carrie. We've been married for 24 years. And if you look at 29, because we dated for 5 years before we got married. So we're almost at the 30, if you want to put that piece. 3 kids, Blake, Luke, and Ella. So Blake is actually, he's going to graduate from CSU next year in finance. My second son, Luke, is going to CU. So real quick, I'm trying to find a sweatshirt. And if anyone has or know where I could buy a sweatshirt that says CU on one side and CSU on the other, let me know, because I cannot find it. I found T-shirts, but not a sweatshirt. So Luke is going to CU. He's majoring in English. He's doing a lot of editing. And I've got my daughter who's 12 years old. She is going to be in 7th grade, and she's attending Colorado Early Colleges. She's over there with all the beautiful hair. So I've got my, can't ask for a better mother-in-law. I've got my sister-in-law's here. She drove all the way down to Pueblo for this. Thank you very much. And then obviously a lot of people out there. The list could go on and on and on. And if I continue to ramble, you'll get the credits rolling behind me and the music, just like in the Oscars. We don't want that. A couple of people, though, that did play a crucial role in my career development. One is Al Brown. So he was instrumental for me with defensive tactics, with FTO being a leader. Another one was Sergeant Kurt Clow. So I remember this story vividly. 2 weeks out of FTO, actually, let me back up. I was in FTO. We had a high-risk stop, and it was downpour rain. And he was the sergeant on the street, and I conducted a high-risk stop, and we all took care of business. Like a week later in shift, I got a letter of accommodation from Sergeant Kurt Clow. That shows you how powerful positive reinforcement and acknowledging good work goes. So I still remember that like it was yesterday. And then Lieutenant Dan Murphy played a big role in my career development as well. He was there coaching me to be a sergeant, told me I was ready for the next level as far as a lieutenant, or to be a lieutenant. I want to also give kudos or gratitude or appreciation to executive staff. They placed me in an interim role for a lieutenant, so I was actually the interim lieutenant for about 2.5 months. It was an awesome learning opportunity, so thank you. Thanks, Chief. So I got to learn supervisory at a different level, and kept everything intact as a sergeant, as a DT instructor, as an FTO, and all of that stuff. So nothing has changed. Lastly, I just want to again thank everyone for showing the support for everyone in the back who got promoted, including myself. And again, it's not about me. It's about making the world better. It's about making people around me better. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kelly. And once again, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy days to stop by and show your support. I see Councilman Summers here as well, thank you. And Chief DeMint coming out, we appreciate the support we have and the relationship we have with the fire department. This is a room, I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't just take one moment to say that, this is a room that is routinely, people come forward and sometimes air their grievances, sometimes let others know that they're scared. They sometimes know that they're mad about something or they're unsure. And even just this past week at a council meeting, we had many people come forward and talk about portions of the community are scared and wondering how's their relationship going and wondering what's happening, not so much with the police department, as more of a national issue. And sometimes there are things that are local that we can act on and other things that are bigger than that. But what I really wanted to hit on was just the fact that I think it's important that this community knows, people are here today, and those who will be watching in the future, that Fort Collins Police Service is all about safety. We're all about working with our community. We recognize that without every member of the community feeling that they are a part of this community, that they are safe, that we're their partners, and that we want to work together with them, we would fail. So it's important that everyone knows that every member here who's dressed as a police officer, who works on our professional side, the city hall, council members, whatever, but I'm talking specifically about the police department and the police officers, that we are here, and again, we will fail without the support of everyone. And so I really want to make sure that people know that when they call the police, we're there for you. We deal with behaviors. Whether or not who someone loves, whether or not they have a home, how they got here to Fort Collins or even the United States, we are all about safety. And if someone needs help, they need to know that they can call the Fort Collins Police Services, and professional, well-trained, well-equipped police officers will show up and help them in their time of need. You know, again, as we were talking about who's the most excited in this room, I guarantee those who are being promoted and their family members are very excited. But I'll speak for the entire command staff that we are excited, and I know your coworkers are. We expect big things. We have a goal of being the safest city in the country, and that's not just a throwaway line we have. We have that goal because we know that having big goals is important, and they'll stretch us a little bit. And the importance is that we continue to recognize how can we get better, how can we identify trends, how can we react, how can we put systems in place to make sure that as we are responding to crimes before they occur, solving problems before they become major ones. And that takes smart people who can think problems through. The easy answer is give me more people, and I can solve more problems. If that was as easy as that, then we could all be very successful in whatever career we have. The real challenge is recognizing with limited resources, policing in a very large community, and working with portions of the community that maybe don't always trust us. How do we connect with them to make sure we solve problems, reduce crime, and make this the safest community? That's our challenge. That's all of our challenges. We have 4 goals of reducing crime, increasing traffic safety, continuing to improve community engagement between the police department and the community, and lastly, the goal of ourselves, making sure that each one of us are staying healthy. Because as we talk a lot about officer safety, many times the biggest threat to us is actually inside us. So making sure that we're healthy and we're looking out for each other. And I want people to recognize that our peer support program is strong. Thank all of you who are in this room who are part of the peer support program, who are taking those steps, because if we're not the best we can be, we will certainly not be ready to perform the difficult tasks that are before all of us as police officers. Once again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time, for coming out today. Appreciate all of you being here today. I really want to say thank you to the officers that are here. Interesting, I don't have the exact numbers, but it's somewhere right around from myself to the assistant chiefs and Rena Martinez, the information services. It's whatever that is. 60% of the executive team is new within the last year. It's about 30% of the lieutenants are new in the last year. It's about 25% or so of the sergeants are new in the last year. There is a new look to this police department. We are all about working with the community, making sure our officers get the praise and the recognition that they deserve for doing an amazing job through a tumultuous time. The community was still served by the most amazing police officers who are well-trained and made sure that people were safe. And I just really want to say thank you for a lot of change has happened. A lot of change will continue to happen. But really want to say thank you to the men and women of the Fort Collins Police Services, sworn and on the civilian side, because you guys have just done an amazing job day in and day out during sometimes some difficult situations. And I just want you to know I appreciate it and the community appreciates it. So without further ado, if you wouldn't mind one more time, could we give a round of applause to all the people who got promoted today? And that concludes our ceremony. Thank you for coming, and stay safe, Fort Collins.